In today's video, we're taking a look at another cool duo because this time we have a Gen5x4 NVMe SSD, which definitely brings more speeds to the table regarding everything basically. But in this sense, we're not going with high speeds, clock speeds on the RAMs. So let me first introduce, we have URBANE V RGB 2x16 at 6400 megahertz, and then we have CLEVV genuine G560 M.2 Gen 5x4 with some insane speeds. Now, this is going to be modeled with 1 terabyte, and we have 2 and 4 as well, which brings higher endurance, higher speeds, and just insane specs in altogether everything. So before I go into details regarding everything, they are both in white, and you saw them in a build that I did recently, which was quite interesting and cool to do regarding basically using these two, because as you can see, the G560 has a passive heatsink already installed on it. So all in all, what you have to do is remove the original heatsink coming from the motherboard and just place this. Depending on the design of the motherboard, this could look quite appealing because we have a two-tone combination with black and white. So since I mentioned the Gen 5x4 SSD right from the start, let's start with that one immediately. What we have right here is Phison PS5026 E26 8-channel controller and 232-layer 3D TLC NAND with LPDDR4 DRAM, which in this scenario we have 1 gigabyte, 2 terabyte has 2 gigabytes, and 4 terabyte has 4 gigabytes of LPDDR4 DRAM. Now, most of you guys that want to go with this Gen 5x4 will most likely be interested in the dimensions, because you do have a heatsink that will most likely stick out, and you'll really want to know this. So 80.5 times 23.35 times 17.8 millimeters. Just to sum it up quickly with the features: 3D NAND, DRAM buffer, NVMe 2.0, SLC caching, and all packed in this small thing. So it's Micron 232-layer 3D TLC NAND, uses dual ARM Cortex R5 cores in pair with Phison Coex processor 2.0. We have 700 TBW. Port has AES 256-bit encryption, of course smart as well. The weight is 68 grams. I don't know in what scenario this could be relevant, but regardless of that, just want to mention it so you know. And as I stated at the beginning, we have 1, 2, and 4 terabytes. Now, before actually placing it in the build and going with the benchmarks, I was quite curious of one thing, and you might presume what it is: the thermals, right? So the thing is, we can all reach with Gen 5 SSDs quite high speeds, regardless of the heatsink or not. Eventually, the SSD will reach high speeds, and we had that scenario with Team Group's Z540. But I wanted to see if it will have consistency. If it reaches a certain thermals, will it drop? How much will it drop? And will it have a consistency, or will it thermal throttle? So those couple of things were a question mark above my head, which I really wanted to see and to test out, basically to give you an idea if this Gen 5 is actually worth it. Because so far, eventually, every Gen 5 that I had on the channel had some minor drops during the high thermals, or eventually thermal throttling without heatsink. With heatsink slim from the motherboard, there were some slight thermal throttlings, and then when we go with actual full passive heatsinks coming directly, then there was a solid performance, right? There were some drops, but nothing too significant, right? So let's go and check this one out. We're talking about the ASSD. So read speeds, and you know how it goes. ASSD shows less speeds than usual, and then we go with Atto and Crystal and everything else. So ASSD read speeds 10,000, 16.26 megabytes per second. Write speeds 9,530.05 megabytes per second. Thermals on this one, in this scenario, went up to 58 degrees. Autodisk benchmark, read speeds 12.78 gigabytes per second and write speeds 9.91 gigabytes per second, with temperature going up to 77 even. But what I noticed in Autodisk benchmark, and I really want to mention this. So in Autodisk benchmark, you have consistency of multiple runs because it builds up the file that is transferred to your SSD. In some scenarios regarding Gen 5 SSDs, I noticed either huge drop in the speeds and inconsistency and stuff like that, or there were some minor drops. At the beginning, when showing full speeds, it went up to 71 degrees. As it was going upwards, the speeds went down by 200 megabytes per second. But that's not the problem. Basically, there is no problem. Eventually, when it got stabled under that certain temperature, it actually picked up the pace and went even above. So constant build up on the speeds and trying to regulate the thermals, it did what it did. I've shown you the result, and those were the thermals. And then we go to Crystal Disk Mark. Now this is interesting. 13,442.27 megabytes per second read and write speed 10,331.39 megabytes per second. Temperature maximum was 79, average was 77. And yeah, this is quite outstanding. So it even reached higher speeds than what they wrote and what they stated on the box. And IOPS read was 1.5 million, while the IOPS write was 1.6 million. So again, more than what they wrote and what they stated on the box, on their website, everywhere. This is just quite solid. And 54.9 gigabyte file transfer speed, 4.1 gigabytes read, and 3.87 gigabytes write. I don't think we'll get any different results here when we're talking about copy, read, and write, regardless of the SSD. When you take into consideration thermals and speeds, I think I can clearly say that this one actually, even though it's hot, I mean 77 degrees is quite a lot for an SSD and in general, but when you take into consideration what it has, and specifically going with some details about it regarding cooling, the passive heatsink, it looks really outstanding, and love the thin design which actually helps the heat dissipation, so that's good. Keeps it stable. 200, eventually 300 megabytes per second loss, and then picking it up again and going even further with the speeds. That's really good and quite solid. Really love the design. Matte finish on the white part. The passive heatsink is just, the black passive part is just something irrelevant. What I would suggest regarding placing this SSD in general on your motherboard, because you have to remove the passive heatsink that is already on it. Usually on some higher end motherboards, you get a thermal pad on the bottom part and on the top part for better cooling, logical. But if you use this one, you have to remove the bottom thermal pad from the motherboard. Because first of all, what we have right here is passive part, then we have the thermal pad, then we have the SSD, then again we have thermal pad and the passive heatsink. So basically what happens in this scenario, if you place it on the thermal pad and try to lock it in position, unless you're using a screw to hold it in the position on your motherboard, and if you're using, for instance, those easy latches that just cling on the PCB board, you won't be able to fit it. So just remove the thermal pad, store it in your motherboard box, and that's it. It will cool, as you noticed. So that's one thing that I would like to mention, but still runs great, and I think this really does outperform everything that I had on the channel, including the stability. So PC Crazy performance badge for this one, because I wouldn't give it if it didn't have stable transfer speeds. Otherwise, it would be a completely different story. But big thumbs up for this one, but we need to check something else. So we have the CLEVV URBANE V RGB RAMs. As I stated at the beginning, we have 2x16 and 6400 megahertz. They go up to 8400 megahertz, and this is insane. What I basically wanted to do is place them on AMD, and I used it on ASRock X870 as well as this one. X870 Steel Legend paired up with AMD Ryzen 7 9800X3D. The one thing that I noticed, the designs are outstanding. We have 2mm thickness of the passive heatsink. We have 42.5 millimeters of height, which go, and I could clearly say, under some sort of a low profile RAMs when we're talking about the RGB top part, because usually you can go with lower ones, but they don't have RGB lighting. And it's nice, it's subtle, it doesn't have that LED bleed, so you won't see individual LEDs popping up. That's good. The one thing that bothered me, and it doesn't say here literally anything. So you have the sticker on the opposite side. So when you place the RAMs, as you should, the sticker is visible from this part. Usually what every other manufacturer does, basically CLEVV as well, is you place the sticker on the other side that is next to the cooler, pump, or whatever you're placing on your CPU to cool it down. But to be honest, you can easily remove it. It doesn't say anything regarding warranty void if removed. So just if you want, you can swap it on the other side or just place it in your box, and that's it. Just giving some ideas for the visual aspect because they really do look clean and I'm really digging the design. Matte finish, white matte finish on the top, on the side, passive heat sinks. We have a gloss black line going throughout with a small CLEVV imprint here on the top, and what you else have is the diffused LED strip, well, two strips actually, which is great. They work with Asus Aura Sync. You have Gigabyte RGB Fusion, MSI Mystic Lights, ASRock Polychron Sync, and actually I tested it with ASRock Polychron Sync. You know I usually have problems with Polychron Sync syncing the RAMs because of, I don't know, some strange reason, most likely other RGB software installed or anything similar to that. They worked properly, so there was no issues with the RAMs and the RGB sync with Polychrome, so you're good to go. Now, furthermore, we have on-die ECC and PMIC. We have support for Intel XMP 3.0 and AMD Expo. As I stated, they go up to 8400 megahertz, a 10-layer PCB built-in thermal sensor to regulate the thermals for optimal performance, and what I stated at the beginning as well, 2mm thickness, thick aluminum heatsink, which, I mean, honestly, even though it's 2mm, they look slimmer than other RAMs. They just look like that. It's not that they are, but just stating something that I noticed. So let's go with benchmarks. AIDA64 Extreme Edition, cache and memory benchmarks. Read speeds 96,956 megabytes per second. Write speed 85,028 megabytes per second. And copy 94,174 megabytes per second. Latency is 82.6 nanoseconds, which is quite solid because it doesn't go right at the back of the row. It really does perform quite nicely regarding that. Of course, I wanted to extend the benchmarks, so using, as I stated, the 9800 X3D with ASRock X870 Steel Legend, Cinebench, actually it performed quite nicely. So the CPU started at 78, it ended up at 79. Clock speeds are totally irrelevant in this scenario, but it kept the scores stable. 21,195, and it just dropped down a bit, so somewhat an average is 21,150, which is still solid, and for this CPU and in this combination, quite alright. Honestly, if you go with high RAMs on that processor, it won't work because I already tested it, and you'll see that in the future review regarding 9800 X3D. Just wanted to state that ideal would be still 6,000, maybe 6400. It really doesn't matter that much. Indigo benchmark bedroom, we had 2.871 million samples per second, while the supercar 6.669 million samples per second. Okay, we have to take into consideration that we have a different processor, and regarding and comparing it to other benchmarks, you can see the difference and what happened here. It's just something that if you most likely use a stronger CPU, you'll, well, not most likely, you'll definitely get higher scores. Corona 1.3, 66 seconds, and this is definitely more towards the processor with 7.3, 7.4 million rays per second. Corona 10, 7.5 million rays per second, and AIDA64 AES 375,489 megabytes per second. What I can say in conclusion, you already heard everything regarding genuine G560 Gen5x4 1 terabyte, and you can grab it in 2 and 4 terabyte version as well with higher endurance and higher DRAM and whatnot. It does work quite nice. I do have to admit, this is definitely the only Gen 5 that I tested that actually had, well, not flawless, but better than others scores in terms of results. No thermal throttling, even though it went a bit high, didn't it? 77 degrees. And then we have these CLEVV URBANE V RGB that kind of pair up quite nicely when we're talking about the heatsink design. But then again, we have quite solid performance for 6400 megahertz as well. When you compare it to others, you can actually see that they're just there on top of that 6400 megahertz pile, let's put it this way. Because otherwise, if it was anything closer to the mid-range, they would be mid-range in terms of not being able to perform to the maximum at their frequency. So they still do perform quite nicely, even though you can see the rank, but you also do have to check the clock speeds of others to be able to compare. So basically, maybe in more detailed reviews, I would have to separate the graphs just for the 6400 megahertz, 6000 megahertz, 72, and so on and so on. But regardless of everything, one thing that I would just only say, switch the sticker just for the visual aspect on the other side, because it really ruins the clean design of the URBANE V RGB, and that's all that I can say. Quite satisfied in general. I mean, I reviewed CLEVV a year ago or something like that. I think it was XR5, and of course satisfied with the build quality, because I had some RAMs which I didn't even publish. The heatsinks fall off because of the double-sided thermal pad that is also a glue, so it didn't stick properly, and you can even feel the quality of just by on the touch. We have 2mm thick aluminum heatsink, regardless of that, but the design is flawless. It just is, and they look quite nice, and they perform quite nice for that segment, right? And of course this one as well. So everything that I touched from CLEVV currently is top notch, without a doubt. And yeah, that's all that I can say. The links for the CLEVV URBANE V RGB, I'll try to find them because these are the new ones. The URBANE V RGB were released 24th of November, and the release date today is 9th of December, so it's kind of too close to be able to have them already in store. But when I do have some links, I'll place them in the description below if you're quite interested with these ones. And of course, you can search for higher clock speed if you're going with Intel, you know, just in case, so you know they go up to 8400 megahertz. Again, I don't have to say anything about this. You can choose storage from 1 to 4 terabytes, and that'll be all for today, guys. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, click the notification bell. I'll see you quite soon in another one. Bye bye.